I'm Nathan Lawler. I studied abroad in fall of 2018 and fall of 2019. Hey, how you doing? So I got the old campus and the new campus. So hi.
Thanks, Nathan. And Liv?
Hi, I'm Liv. I studied abroad at TUJ spring 2020, so I had to leave a little bit early, but my experience was wonderful and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
All right, thank you both for joining today. And for everyone else, as you have questions, you can totally write them in the chat, and we'll get to them either at the end or sometime throughout the session. And we can also open up the floor if you want to kind of ask your question, over the mic. So let's get started. So studying abroad at Temple, Japan. So what you'll learn today are, you're gonna learn why choose Temple, Japan, what Temple, Japan is. We'll talk about the academics, internship opportunities, housing, cultural enrichment opportunities, some of the challenges of study abroad in Japan, and some support options, financing, and how to apply. So really just a rundown of the whole program. So we're gonna start with the program overview. Temple Japan campus was founded in 1982, and it is Temple's only branch campus that is a degree, or one of Temple's only campuses that is a degree granting campus and only international degree granting campus. So there are quite a few students there, about 1,200 or so, maybe even more now, who are earning their degrees at Temple Japan. And so as a study abroad student, you'll kind of blend in with this community of what they call JAs, or Japan admits, and you'll be taking courses alongside of those full-time degree-seeking students for a semester or a full year or summer, as long as you're there. So that's a great way to meet other people from around the world. Specifically, their undergraduate population is about 40% American, 40% Japanese, and the rest from around the world. So very diverse international community, as well as a very diverse and international faculty, and really globalized perspective with the faculty as well. The new campus is one of the big draws now. It's located on Showa Women's University campus. So it shares a more traditional style campus, even though it is not like a full campus like you would expect main campus to be. So while they don't have gym facilities in the campus, Showa Women's University does have some spaces for you to use as well, or you can find a gym outside of campus. And this is a location, this is a map of where the new campus is located amongst Tokyo. So as you can see here, it's located really close to Sengenjaya Station in a town, what's it called, Setagaya City. And so it's a really nice neighborhood where it's located and very close to Shibuya Station. And once you get to Shibuya, you might not be familiar with Tokyo, but Shibuya is very famous for it looking like Times Square, but it's a famous crosswalk you might have seen in time-lapse videos of Tokyo. And so there's a lot of stuff to do in Shibuya as well. And once you get to Shibuya, you can really access the rest of the city from there too. It's very well connected, and you can really see what you want. So Nathan or Liv, do you have anything to add about TUJ's campus, the location, ease of access, anything like that?
When I was first looking into TUJ and looking at the campus online, I remember thinking I have no clue what's around there, but there's so many it's a perfect little area. It has this awesome sort of really famous store that has all cute stuff. There's so many places to eat. They have a donut place, there's a McDonald's near there, there's the Japanese Baskin Robbins, 7-Eleven, Family Mart. There's so many places to eat. They have a brand new fried chicken place on the corner, and it's just a really cute, beautiful area. And the commute is really, from both dorms, I heard not bad. I mean, I was in Hakusan and the commute was a breeze.
Yeah, I mean it's a really cool area. It's kind of different than a lot of what you're gonna see. A lot of cool little alleys and back ways you can go to. You can get lost sometimes going through everything, and it's a really neat area, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll definitely touch on the housing options a little bit later and the commutes and what to expect for that. But for now, let's go forward with the highlights. So the orientation in Tokyo is one of the highlights. Well, it was one of the highlights before COVID. So usually there's like a 3-day orientation, like literally the day after you arrive. You will go to campus, you'll be escorted to campus, and then you'll get more of a traditional orientation, I would say. So you sit in a room and you get like presentations from different people who work at the campus, and you get to know some of the faculty and some of the staff and the resources available to you in Tokyo. There are some other aspects of orientation that are a little more fun. So they do like a supermarket tour with, I think, a student worker who takes you out to a local supermarket and teaches you how to like navigate that. And then they also do like it's like a party or like a end of the orientation kind of fun game night thing where you can meet other students who are JAs and SAs and just like play games together and share a meal. So that's one of the highlights. The internship program is one highlight as well. So the internship program is really one of the top things I would say about the TUJ program is that you should really consider doing while you're there. It's really well run. Almost all the students who apply for internships get one, and you'll get a really good experience out of it, get something on your resume. So highly recommend looking into internships. And then there's also various activities planned by the Office of Student Services throughout the semester, which I believe we'll talk about a little bit more. But this photo on the left is from one of those activities. I think they went to Chiba. That's right. All right. So course instruction, all classes, because it is Temple University, it's an American institution, all instruction is in English for all of their classes, with the exception of the Japanese classes, more at the advanced level though. So if you're just starting Japanese, you're not gonna walk into a Japanese class and like it's all gonna be in Japanese. It might mostly be in Japanese, but like there are a couple options for study abroad students. So you could either choose to do one of the traditional Japanese track classes, which is a traditional language course, 4 credits, focusing on all of the areas of building foundational language study. So 1001, 1002, and so on and so forth. Or you could choose to take Japanese 2000, which is Japanese for study abroad students. And it's specifically designed for students who aren't really looking to get like a full 4-credit language foundation out of their experience. They just want to learn phrases or cultural aspects of Japan that they're going to need to use while they're abroad, and they don't really have a plan to continue studying after they're abroad. But it's a really great course. I would recommend anybody, even if you're not planning to take a language class, consider taking Japanese 2000 because you'll learn a lot in one of those classes. Nathan or Liv, did either of you take that class or Japanese class?
I took that class specifically, and it's fantastic. It's so helpful in like teaching you like enough like phrases so you can get around Japan pretty, or at least get around Tokyo pretty easily.
Yeah, I took that course as well. I took it with Professor Matsuhashi, and she is amazing. She's so sweet. Like everything you learn, you genuinely use. And whenever I would like go around and like try to speak to locals in Japanese, like at the places that I was going, like they would be like, "Oh my God, your Japanese is so good," and I'd be like, "No, I just know a couple phrases, but thank you." Like they really love it when you speak to them in Japanese, and it made me feel like really good and independent and part of the culture. So it's definitely enjoyable. It's just fun overall, even if you're not gonna go on with it in the future. It's just super fun. Oh, and you have a trip.
Yeah, yeah.
You always have a cool trip. I got to go to a sumo thing. That was really cool. I got to go for free. It was amazing.
Yeah, I got to hang out around Asakusa when I went. I also got to go to the ramen museum in Yokohama. It's really cool.
Yeah,
that class Sensei is fantastic.
She's great, and she's like, I don't know if any of the students here know Japanese at all, but one of the ways that I heard of her described is like, she's very Genki. And so Genki means like healthy, like, okay, like Genki desu ka, like means like, oh, how are you? How are you? But Genki also means like kind of like, I don't know, energetic. She's very that. Additional academics, things to know about the academics there. So TUJ is, even though they are degree granting campus, they don't have all of the majors that main campus does. So they have majors in art, Asian studies, communications, economics, general studies, international affairs, international business studies, Japanese language, political science, and psychological studies. So their majors are more on the CLA side. And I do want to note that the international business studies degree and major courses are not analogous to the international business major at Temple main campus. So just keep that in mind as you're making your plan. So there are a wide range of courses to take. So if you're in any one of these majors specifically, then you'll have a full range of options, whether that's, beginning classes, mid-level classes, or your capstone. Even if you're like a psych major and want to take your capstone at TUJ, you could do that. But if you're not one of these majors, you're going to need to kind of arrange your schedule a little bit differently. So you might want to consider taking, some elective classes or other, degree fulfillment things. Like, so some students in CLA, like they have to take humanities classes, while you can take that at TUJ. But I would say the majority of Temple students, most of them take some kind of gen ed, 1 or 2. And then the great part about TUJ being the degree granting campus is that they have all of the gen eds. So you can take any of the gen eds you want. I would just warn you that some of them are very competitive because everyone has to take them. So particularly intellectual heritage classes, if you're planning to do that at TUJ, be prepared for that class to not be available when you register for it, just because they tend to be very competitive. There's not so many faculty members that are familiar with teaching that literature in Japan. So again, the number is limited. Anything to add, Nathan or Liv, about your academics? Any courses that you recommend taking, or faculty? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if you're in one of these specific majors shown above, there is going to be specific either Japanese focused or Asian focused classes. Specifically, I'm a political science major. You're going to be seeing stuff like Chinese politics or Korean politics or Japanese politics or something like that. So you're going to get like specific more to the region, but there is classes normally for the regular stuff that you can take at main campus, but there is specific classes you can only take at TUJ.
I'm a Tyler major, and so the art studio at TUJ is amazing. It's like brand new. The facilities that they have are super amazing. I got to like look into some of the gen ed versions of the art classes, and like I had friends in them, and they said that they were amazing. Like, they had like nice trips and got like opportunities that like you wouldn't really have at main campus. So if you still have an art gen ed, I would definitely recommend saving it to take it to UJ, because the professors are just like they have a different approach than at Temple, and it's a unique experience, and you get to see stuff. And they also have a really nice little gallery space there where they usually have like the professors or students work, and it's all really great stuff.
Yeah,
The gallery is really cool.
Yeah, a lot of students, we have a mix of Temple and non-Temple students who go on this program. So a mix of students who are, going to school all around the U.S. And a lot of them do end up taking some of these like intro art courses, because, you don't really have time to do that outside of like when you're working on your major, and they really have great experiences doing like intro to painting, intro to photography. So there's some really cool faculty members who teach in the art department. So I would recommend checking that out if you can. All right. For internships, there we do offer an internship option. So 3 credits or 4 credits, but most students do 3 credits. So it is a 4-credit internship, or you could do a non-credit internship if you wanted to. The application process for an internship happens after acceptance. So if you're interested in doing an internship, like there's no pre application processes. It all happens after the deadline passes. And so these internships are in a wide variety of fields, and you don't have to know Japanese to do an internship. There are a lot of positions that don't require Japanese, although if you know some Japanese, that's definitely an advantage. Let me think what else. So some of the more popular internship placements tend to be education related. So a lot of students interested in possibly teaching English. So there's teaching in a high school, there's teaching preschool kids, kindergartners. So there's some options there. There are a couple embassy internships. There are startups, small businesses, large businesses. So really a lot of options to choose from if you're interested in doing an internship. We do, or I should say we did have funding for scholarships, for internship scholarships. Tomodachi was one of them, but because of, the Tomodachi was funded by the US Embassy in Japan. And so it's not, the funding will not continue for the future. So unfortunately, until there's more funding found, that the internship scholarships are on hold. So just heads up. Let me think. So did either of you did internships? Nathan, I think you did one.
I had an internship tragically fall through.
Oh,
So
okay.
It's a very rarity. If you really want to get an internship, you are most likely going to get one. It's a rarity that something falls through.
Mm-hmm.
I knew people who did internships, and the only thing that they told me was don't wear heels to your internship. Or at least wear like flats and like carry your heels in a bag, because like they said that the walking in heels around Japan was not a fun time. I wouldn't know, but that's what they said, and they love their internships other than the first day where they wore heels by mistake. Apparently, they're like super casual, and like some of them, like they didn't even have to wear shoes at work, so it didn't matter what shoes they wore to work. So I don't know, maybe talk to your work about that. You want to wear comfy shoes in Japan. Don't bring brand new shoes to Japan. I made that mistake. Don't do it. Bring comfy shoes.
I think you'll be walking a lot more than you expect you will when you go to Japan.
Oh my God, I was in such good shape.
I lost so much weight. Oh, it was ridiculous.
I lost weight too.
I lost 40 pounds.
Wow.
Came right off me. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so moving along here. So we have some housing options as well. We have a number of different housing options for students who have different different needs out of their experience. And so the first option is a program arranged dorm. So we have two dorms that we work with currently. One is the Musashi Kosugi dorm, which houses both JAs and study abroad students. And then we also have the Hakusan dorm, which is mostly all study abroad students, which is kind of like an overflow facility, but don't let that scare you, because the Hakusan dorm, everyone loves it. But they are, for the most part, individual rooms. Depending on the number of students that we have in there each term, you might need to share a room. But the nice thing about the shared rooms are that there is some privacy built into them. So you're not actually like in a J&H style, sleeping right across the room from each other kind of situation. There's a wall between you. So you have your separate space for sleeping and your desk, and then you share a bathroom. We also do homestays for students who are interested in doing a homestay where they can live with a Japanese family. You get a room in a home. Sometimes you'll have another student who's with you in that family's house, but you also get meals out of that homestay. So if you're really looking to have a more immersive cultural experience, especially if you want to learn the language, homestay is a great option. Just a heads up that the dorms are about an hour away from campus one way, the transit, and that's a normal commute in Tokyo. The homestays can be even farther, which is like an hour up to 2 hours each way. So the students who are committed to doing a homestay and really want that learning experience are fine with that kind of commute. But if you're not sure about it, just keep that in mind, and we can also talk more individually about what your needs are. And finally, we have offered independent housing as an option for students. So if you have family in Japan or friends, you want to live with them, or if you want to find your own apartment, you're welcome to do that. The risk just kind of goes up because you have to kind of do that on your own. We can't assist you with finding that place. So you will need to kind of do the research yourself. I do want to point out though, homestay and independent housing both have stars here because the availability for both of these options may be limited or restricted due to COVID-19 situation in Japan. So for the students who are there this spring, homestays and independent housing were not offered and likely will not be offered for summer as well, just because of the number, like just the level of risk involved. Anything to add here about housing, Liv or Nathan, other than that Hakusan is awesome?
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. Hakusan is awesome. It is close to almost anything you really want to go to in Tokyo. You are like roughly like 5 minutes or 2 stops over from an area called Tokyo Dome City, which is kind of, it's a giant stadium, but it's got an amusement park and other stuff going on. Some American style restaurants, if you get bored of Japanese food, are there too. There's TGI Fridays, some other stuff. But the Hakusan dorm, universally loved. So
I was in Hakusan. It was a dream. One thing that I think is important to note is that when I originally heard that the commute was like an hour, I was horrified because I am not a morning person. So like waking up, usually I wake up like maybe 20, 15 minutes before class, but the commute was a breeze. It was, once you learn it, it's super easy. You have internet in the subway, which is like crazy to me because I'm from New York and I'm like, you don't get internet in this, you don't even get service. And another thing, like, don't worry about internet, like it's accessible everywhere. I bought a hotspot, didn't need it. Yeah, no. And I've heard great things about Masashi Kosugi. I don't know.
Musashi Kosugi.
But I lived in Hakusan and I really loved it. It was really communal. Like there's a 2 hallways with the living area and then like a meeting space. You either get a lounge or a kitchen depending what floor you are on, but you have access to the floor either above or below you. So I was on the 5th floor and I had access to the 6th floor. So you have access to both kitchen and a lounge. And it's just like really communal. Yeah, I love Hakusan.
Okay. So some cultural, and you have something to add, Nathan?
yeah, I just wanted
Okay,
to
go
talk
ahead.
about. I just wanted to quickly talk about transportation. More than likely, you're going to get a train pass for your route. So your route where you're in the train station you start and where the campus is, and in between there, it's essentially free, but you pay for it. So between your stop and Sangenjaya station, you can hop off wherever, and if you get back on the one of those stations in between, it's free going back and forth.
So you can go to Shibuya for free, pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
Which is amazing. Like
it's pretty great.
Yeah, it has like so many stops in between, so most of the places you want to go are essentially free with your commuter pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might touch on this in the challenges section, but I know a lot of students are really intimidated by Japan's train and transit system, and it's totally intimidating when you just look at the pictures. But once you get the hang of it, it just makes so much sense. So
it's the easiest thing, really. Like I'm from New York, and I don't know how to navigate the New York subways. Don't even ask me about Philly. But once you learn like Japan, and if you just use Google Maps, like it breaks it down for you super easy. Like if you look at the maps, they're horrifyingly scary, but they're so like accessible and you can get anywhere really.
It's 1,000 times better than SEPTA. The trains actually come on time. It's unbelievable. As someone from Philly, it's a big culture shock that stuff happens on time.
Yeah, I think I
map of horror that is actually heaven sent.
I think I actually saw somewhere that the average train delay in Japan is like 8 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about cultural enrichment, things outside of academics. So as far as a TUJ student, you'll have access to TUJ student organizations. You can join the clubs. I think they have like sports clubs, basketball, volleyball, cycling. They also have like interest clubs, video gaming club, I think. So you could join those, meet other students. Also, one of the big parts of the study abroad experience is doing the excursions, this OSS activities that they arrange, and they are different every semester, so you'll have a really unique experience. Although there's some overlap, like they almost always go to Fuji Q Highland, and they'll almost always go to onsen. So you'll have a lot of these really cool experiences there. There's social mixers, language and cultural exchanges, cultural workshops on traditional Japanese arts. So I think they've done like the tie-dye one a lot. There's also volunteering opportunities. So really a lot to take advantage of that's arranged by TUJ, but then you also have the freedom to kind of do whatever you want outside of campus when you're not in class. So if you wanted to kind of join a local group, like I know a student in the past joined like there was like a expat drawing group, and they would just like draw together. She was an artist. So you have the ability to do that as well. So turning it over to Nathan or Liv, anything to add on cultural enrichment opportunities, either through TUJ or outside of TUJ?
One thing to know is that the trips are going to sell out really fast. So you're going to want to wake up as if you're signing up for classes and sign up for those trips. You might get 1 or 2 max, which is disappointing, but you can always redo them with your friends. So like me and my group of friends that I made via the Facebook group, we made a trip to Kyoto, and we also went to Osaka, and we just rented an Airbnb, and like it was $50 each because there was only 5 of us, but there were more beds that we could have filled at the place that we went to. So definitely like plan things with friends, or if you struggle to make friends, join that Facebook group, post like, hey, I want to do this. I posted like, hey, the first week I get to Japan, I want to go to Disney. Who wants to come with me? And I got like 5 responses of people who wanted to go with you. So don't be afraid to like reach out on that Facebook group that you'll get accepted to once you get accepted to the program, and be like, I want to do this. Who wants to come with me? Let's do it together. And that's how you make friends. That's how I made my main friend.
Yeah. The trips are fantastic. They're really some of the highlights of your study abroad experience. Again, live is that live? Yeah, we're saying they do sell it really fast. Facebook group is always great. My particular 2 times I went, we used Line, which is like the default like messaging app in Japan. But it's trips are it's lying can be your best friend sometimes. If you want to make friends with JA students or Japanese people, Line is ubiquitous. So
yeah, I mean, even companies and businesses use Line. So in Tokyo and in Japan, so you'll be told
homework online. in my Japanese class for study abroad students, like you would literally like just text her for homework in Japanese, and that was it.
It's interesting because now they have to do quarantine. Anybody who arrives in Japan had to do a quarantine, and they have to get their temperatures checked every day. And the government was like, download Line so that you could send us your temperature checks. So it's that ubiquitous.
Yeah, I mean, I still use Line to talk to my friends from study abroad. So Line's fantastic.
And if you want to buy cute themes, mine's Peter Pan. It's great.
All right, so here's a couple photos from some of these cultural enrichment activities. Students who go in the spring always talk about trying to see the cherry blossoms, and that's definitely something you should check out when you're there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the challenges. I know I'm already going over time, but the challenges of going to Tokyo, and just maybe things maybe you're not thinking of before you go that you might experience. So Tokyo is a modern city with modern issues. Japan, as you might expect, is very homogenous, and there's a lot of traditional aspects to that as well. So you might see like Japan is very advanced in the way that they, promote technology and innovate and design cities and urban planning and things like that. But there are also some things, parts of Japanese culture that aren't as advanced. So consider that as well. And then some general study abroad challenges you might experience anywhere, not specifically Japan, but balancing school with life abroad, loneliness and homesickness, and adjusting to a new life, such as new foods, new diet, new friends, and new customs. So anything to add here, Liv or Nathan, on the challenges that you experienced, or any examples you want to give that students might not expect?
Yeah, Japan is still big into physical media. So if you're trying to get tickets or whatever, more likely than not, it's going to be a physical ticket. So they have like in like 7-Eleven or Family Mart or Lawson's, they have like a ticket like booth that you like buy tickets from. If you want to do that. Actually, I had to say the fax when I was there. Fax machine still there, still going strong. Physical media, man. Yeah, you're gonna have like awkward like tech stuff some of the time.
When talking about like, you know, adjusting to being there, I had a harder time adjusting back to the United States than I did to adjusting to Japan. And that was just me personally. You know, I took the lightest course load I've ever taken. I took 4 classes instead of the 6 that I usually take, because I wanted to enjoy my time there. And I guess loneliness and homesickness, like don't be afraid to like reach out to the people that you're with. Like a lot of the time, like, you know, even like the people that work at your dorms, because I know that at Hakusan, like all the people that work there were just like super nice and like were like reach out to us anytime you need anything. Like they were down to talk to you. And even if you don't take Japanese for study abroad students, like I'm sure that Sensei Matsuhashi would be more than happy to talk to you and get to know you for a little bit, because she is just so amazing. And I had no problem like with the food. I mean, I love Japanese food, but they had much more Americanized food than I expected. Like they had a margarita pizza place like right near campus. You know, I had better Italian food there than I did in Italy when I was at Temple Rome. So, you know, anything you want, just Google it. You'll find it. You'll be able to get like a little slice of home. There's also a French bakery near Hakusan. So like there's so many foods. You're not going to be limited, so don't be scared. I had more American-based foods than I had sushi. I'm going to be honest, and I love sushi.
Great burgers, fantastic burgers.
Oh my God, Japanese hamburgers! They put the Wagyu beef. It's amazing. Don't get me started.
It's fantastic. But,
so good.
Yeah, it's food's so great.
Okay, thank you so much for your help with that slide, particularly. I appreciate it. So we're going to talk about the application process. I'm going to try to breeze through these slides as quickly. Clear up my camera. Okay, so in order to go to Japan, you need to be a currently matriculated full-time student, completed at least 2 semesters of college, not college at Temple, just college in general. So if you're a transfer student and this is your first semester, you're still eligible because you've already, completed some semesters before. If you're trying to go for the semester, you need to have the cumulative GPA of at least 2.75. For summer, it's 2.5, and cumulative includes all of the previous institutions attended. So if you're a transfer student, you will calculate your cumulative GPA, including that time before Temple. You should be on good academic and disciplinary standing. And also just keep in mind that some upper level courses have prerequisites. It's similar to Temple, so you can see our website for details. You can apply for the program online, studyabroad.temple.edu. Try to navigate the page to find the Temple Japan page, click semester or summer, and then there will be an apply now button on that page. You click that button and it takes you to the online application. Within the application, there is a faculty reference we ask for, and this is just a reference, it's not a recommendation, so it's just somebody's name and email address. And you typically only reach out to the faculty if you're a borderline student. So whether you're like right around or right below the GPA requirement, or there's some other things that we need to take into consideration. You also need to submit about a 200 word essay, nothing really super long, about why you're studying abroad on this program, why you're choosing to go to TUJ, and what it will do for you in your academics and your professional goals and things like that. We also require an academic advisor recommendation. And this is not a personal recommendation either. It's really just a form that asks, did the student talk to the advisor? Are they going to graduate on time? By doing this program, what classes can they take? So nothing really to worry about there. If you're an architecture student, you must also submit a portfolio. The deadlines for the program, so the summer is coming up, it's on February 15th. The fall and academic year deadline is April 1st, and the spring is October 1st. But we do run the architecture program only in the spring, and we ask that architecture students apply by May 1st. We have rolling admission for the program, meaning that we will review and give you a decision of your application within 2 weeks of your application being submitted. So we encourage you to apply early. Waitlists and deadlines waitlists are possible, and program capacity limits are possible. So we always encourage students to apply early. All right, and finally, we're going to talk a little bit about tuition costs and financial aid. So Temple students will pay Temple base rate tuition. So if you're not familiar with base rate tuition, you might be familiar with the fact that if you're a Fox student, you pay more money than if you're a CLA student for tuition. And that's just the way that this tuition is structured at Temple. But all students who study at TUJ will pay the CLA base rate, the lowest rate tuition. So that could save some students a couple $1,000s. We have the cost sheets available online for all terms. All the upcoming terms, they're still pending. There's a lot that's still up in the air. So, the cost sheets might be for the previous semesters, but it gives you a good outline of what costs to consider. And then being a Temple program and being charged Temple tuition, all federal, state, and financial aid can be used towards the program. It really just applies to your bill, just as if you were studying on main campus. We do recommend that students consult with SFS about their aid package before going abroad, just to make sure everything's okay. There are some ways that students can save some money by talking to SFS. For example, if you are, or you can have your aid adjusted. So for example, if you are a commuter student and you are switching to on-campus housing, then your aid will change because of that cost differential. So definitely talk to SFS if you have a concern. And then you could also consider applying for scholarships, study abroad scholarships. So we offer scholarships for the semester and the summer. That's all through our office, up to $3,000 for the semester and up to $4,000 for the summer. We have outside funding also available in a wide variety of different websites and organizations to look at. So here's just a list, but you can go to our website, studyabroad.temple.edu, and there's a financing tab. And under that tab, you can find information about scholarships, various scholarships that are out there. Nathan or Liv, do you have anything to add about costs, financials, scholarships before we wrap up?
I don't know how it worked out, but it costed less for me to go to TUJ and live in Hakusan than it costs for me to go to Temple main campus and live off campus. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah,
I don't know.
happened to me too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, budget correctly. That's probably my main advice. I budget correctly. I was roughly like $100 USD a week. So generally you're gonna be a little more than that, but budget correctly is probably my best,
I'd say start
advice.
saving now.
Yeah.
I never spent like my graduation money, and I went when I was a junior, second semester. So I had like money saved up to spend there. So if you have like any money that you've gotten from either work that you're saving, I would definitely just say like keep it in there if you can, and life happens, but you're definitely gonna want to like buy souvenirs there and like, go on trips and like splurge here and there. But honestly, the cost of living is also very cheap. Like I would get a bowl of udon, rice, tempura, vegetables, and a side dish for $6 US. And it was huge. So, the cost of living and eating is not bad. Like it's much cheaper than it is here. And you get good quality stuff. And I'm talking about like the
True.
best udon I've ever had. I've spent more on an udon, and it's like the best one I ever had in my life. So don't think that like you're saving money and not enjoying the full experience. Like you're getting amazing food for the price.
Okay, thank you guys so much for your insight there as well. So we've reached the end of this presentation. I'm going to open up the floor to questions. So you can write it in the chat or take yourself off mute and ask either me, Liv, or Nathan about anything.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, can you take internships no matter what year you're in, or does it depend?
You can, yes. So there's no, I mean, you can't be a freshman, but you also can't be a freshman to study abroad on the program. So summer after your freshman year, if you're looking to do an internship at that point, then you are welcome to do that. And we have students do that pretty frequently. The only thing that I would keep in mind is it depends kind of on what kind of internship that you're doing. Some internship sponsors do want a student with a little bit more experience in their field. So one of the things that comes to mind is we have an internship with a financial advising company or wealth management company or investment management. And they often look for students who have a little bit more experience, but they have taken students who aren't as experienced before. So you would definitely be a more attractive candidate if you had that background. And the same would go for any kind of technical or more skilled internship like computer science or IT or business are really the ones maybe they would want to see a student who has a little bit more experience, but that doesn't mean there's nothing out there for you. So students have gone through, I've seen students gone through 5 or 6 different internship options and find one that works. And they can still get a valuable experience out of that. That's not the norm. Most students find their placement within like going through 3 different sponsors or 3 interviews.
Okay, and then also, if you're in, I don't know if anyone is in the Fox School of Business, but I'm in some SPOs now in the Fox School of Business. How does that work when you go to Tokyo, Japan? Like, since the time difference will be like when there's a meeting on main campus, it'd be like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the night in Japan. So how does that work?
I think it would depend. You'd have to kind of work that out directly with your SPO or your organization. I mean, most of them will just be like, I think most of them will just be like, have fun and, come back and you can join when you're back. But I'm sure there's a way for you to connect and be engaged with them while you're still abroad. But obviously you're going to be probably having more fun in Tokyo and not thinking about your SPO just at that point. And everyone will be jealous of you anyway. So.
Right. Thank you.
One thing about internships is that my 2 friends that were taking internships were second semester sophomores. So I feel like that's pretty early on for me, at least. My thought, I was like, wow, you're taking internships pretty early. But yeah, I don't know if that helps, but I hope.
Yeah, that's pretty common for the Fox students to go that second semester sophomore year. Any other questions?
I had a question mainly about COVID, just because, that's what's going on now. Are there a lot of changes, especially with like the social aspect? Like you were talking about the cultural enrichment and like different organizations you can join in, like orientation and things like that. So are they not doing some things or what?
Yeah, so there is, that's a really great question. There are a few changes that have been made to those cultural enrichment aspects and also the orientation. So for this semester, we do have students, we have about 35 students who are studying abroad in Japan right now. They had an online orientation that was all done through Canvas. And then also given the current situation in Tokyo, well, they were planning to do some overnight trips, but unfortunately those overnight trips were canceled. Just to be on the safe side, but they are doing other virtual activities. The groups, I think the organization, student orgs are meeting virtually. So they're really prepared for a lot of virtual work. But there are some sacrifices that unfortunately the students did have to make. They had to choose, a lot of them, this was their last time to go abroad. So it was worth it for them, even if they couldn't do some of the overnight trips. But there are some other local trips that they're still doing. Just keeping social distancing in mind. So they might sell out a little bit faster, or they probably did sell out faster because of fewer fewer number of students capacity. I think it's also worth adding here for anybody who's interested in going to Japan this summer or fall, that I'm not sure if you've been keeping abreast of the news, but currently Japan has closed its borders to all foreigners, even if you have a visa. So unfortunately, like, no one can get into Japan right now. We are hopeful that the situation will change in the coming months. But typically when we see this change, it's very gradual. So what happened last year was that they closed the borders, I think in like April or so, and then they gradually started reopening the borders in September, October. And so the only people who could get in at that time were a handful of business travelers from countries where COVID was not spreading very rapidly, and students with, or people with residence visas. So as a student, you'll have a residence visa, and that's the most likely chance that you'll be able to get in. So that's why we're requiring visas for the summer. All fall students should have a visa anyway. So just a heads up. And then the students who went this spring were required to get a negative COVID test within 72 hours of arrival or of departure to Japan. And then they also had to quarantine for a full 14 days. Any other questions?
This might be too specific, but I'm in the CST school, and I'm wondering if you know many CST students who have traveled abroad, specifically to Japan.
Yeah, I've known a handful. I mean, it's not, I think they tend to gravitate more to the summer terms because that's the easiest time to make in their schedule. But yeah, there are students in CST who go. We have a student now who's a data science major, so graduating senior, and she's there now. So she made it work for her. And it's definitely a little bit more complicated and tricky to work out, but for the semester at least, but for the summer, yeah, there's definitely quite a few. And it's good because I don't know, it depends on your CST major, but TUJ is starting to offer more CIS courses. So they offer like a handful of like the lower level CIS 1000 to 2000 level courses, which is really nice.
Does anyone want to know about clothing? I remember when I went, I was like, what do I wear? What's the weather like? So I'm going to answer my own question for y'all because that was like the main thing. Like I brought so many clothes because I had no clue what was happening. It's warm. It's pretty warm there. I went in the spring and I was surprised at how warm it was. I would definitely say bring 1 or 2 very like winter coats. I brought 1 like big winter coat and I brought like a couple medium coats. But when I got there on January 7th, I was wearing a crop top, ripped jeans, and I took off my flannel because it was that hot. So you're gonna be surprised at like how warm it is. I could wear like my Birks with no socks, but also be prepared that some days it's just gonna be frigidly cold. It has like that very wide spectrum, but I'd say that most of the time it was pretty warm. It doesn't rain a lot, but it rains enough that you might want like a rain jacket, or at least a jacket with a hood. I brought like a little tiny umbrella that I could store in my backpack, which was good.
It'll rain more in the summer and the fall.
Yeah.
Because in the fall, if you're going in the fall, September is typhoon season. So usually there's like 1 or 2 typhoons that travels through.
I got the worst one in Tokyo in 50 years. So.
Oh wow.
No, Hagmas was no joke. But now, I mean, if you go in the summer and the fall, be prepared to be very hot. Early fall is very, very hot. Oh Lord. It is something different. It is like it's humid here in the Philadelphia area, but it is hot.
I remember always being confused and like when I would see like Japanese streetwear in the winter and being like, how are they wearing skirts and shorts? It's because it's warm. It's genuinely warm. I brought shorts, but I didn't bring enough shorts. So I'd say like bring I brought like maybe I brought too many, but I brought like 5 pairs of jeans, like 3 pairs of shorts. I'd say like maybe like 4 pairs of jeans, 3 to 4 pairs of jeans, like and then like 5 like cooler pants.
Yeah.
Bring like be ready for layers as well. Like I would wear a crop top with a long sleeve with a jacket over top of it, just so that I could like take my jacket off and then like take off the long sleeve, just because like it fluctuates in temperature.
It does fluctuate a lot, and if you're gonna go north, I recommend bringing some heavier clothing. If you're going north, south, you're not gonna really have that kind of problem. But if you want to explore Hokkaido, and you're going, be there in late fall or early spring, be prepared to wear heavy winter clothes.
Here's a good question for both of you while you're here. Did you have to ship boxes back home?
No.
I should have been shipping them while I was there. Yeah, I had to buy an extra suitcase, even though I brought like one empty suitcase. I mean, I just brought too many clothes to begin with, because like as a Tyler major, I just like my clothes. But yeah, no, expect to buy clothes while you're there, because they have a lot of cool like clothing places. Like even if you're not like into the Japanesey stuff, they have this store called, for the ladies, or people who like to wear feminine clothing, Bershka, which is like a European brand, but it's super cool. They got clothes there for every like fashion style and everything. So you're definitely going to be buying clothes when you're there, especially like on Takashita Street.
Yeah.
So like bring your favorites, but know that you're gonna buy stuff and put some money aside for that.
I bought a second suitcase there, and I had my backpack. So you can bring, generally most airlines, you get 2 pieces of luggage and a personal item generally. So like you have some room to, juggle stuff around. But I did have friends who had to send stuff back.
My flight, I mean, definitely check before you go. My flight like said that I could bring like 5 checked, 1 carry-on, and 1 backpack. And also like if you need to buy a suitcase, don't worry, go to Don Quixote.
Oh, Don Quixote's fantastic.
Suitcases. And I know you're gonna be like, Don Quixote, what's that? Just look for the penguin, the blue
Walmart
penguin,
on acid.
It's everywhere. It's like their dollar store if the dollar store was on steroids. But like it's not all, it's just like cheap good stuff. It's awesome. They have one near Hakusan. They have one in Shibuya. They have everything there. So if you need a suitcase, if you need a pillow, they have like each floor is different stuff. I bought like puzzles there to bring home. If you want to get souvenirs, Don Quixote. If you want food, there's a grocery store in the basement. They have everything. So
Yep.
if you're going, write it.
But just
Everything.
for saving money, really watch airlines. Really fluctuates. How much it costs. I think first time it was like $1,300 round trip. First time I went, and the second time I went, it was like $500 one way round trip. So it's really watch the airlines.
Mhm. All
Save
right.
some cash.
While we're there, I'm just gonna